hustlers, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, we talk about personal finance, self-development and entrepreneurship, so please do click the subscribe button and stick around. So today's video, I want to talk about how to budget. I did a budget video and I want to update this video and do another budget video because I think budgeting is so important in achieving financial goals. And if you have any financial goals, my first video we spoke about how I want to save some money this year, and the second video we spoke about emergency funds, and now let's talk about planning our finances. And I want to just talk about creating a budget that's going to work for you in 2020. Let's start off by defining what a budget is. A budget is basically you planning your finances for your financial success. As we all know, there's a saying that says if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and this is how I feel in terms of a budget. So let's just determine different budget methods and what they are, and maybe you can find one that can work for you in 2020. The first one is the envelope or cash budget method. So this is putting an amount of money of each expense in an envelope, or as cash and putting it in an envelope, or having an envelope of it in a virtual way. I'll explain. So the virtual tracking is basically doing it on a spreadsheet, on Excel or wherever you do your spreadsheet, and basically having an envelope of different amounts of money for different categories or different expenses, and just tracking this either using a worksheet or an app as well. And another one is the cash system, where you withdraw actual money for different expenses and you put it in envelopes and you say what that cash is for or what expense is for. For these ones you can do for the smaller amounts or the smaller expenses like clothes, food, eating out, entertainment, etc. However, please be mindful that this method is it's not the safest because you're actually carrying actual cash around, but maybe it's better to withdraw cash if you know you're going to be spending money towards something else. So withdrawing actual cash if you're going to be going spending for clothes, and withdraw maybe 500 rand if your budget is 500 rand for clothes, and have the actual cash to pay. And then if you know you're going to be spending money on food and your budget is 1,000 rand, withdrawing the actual 1,000 rand and going and spending cash and not swiping your card. So this is a safer way of doing this because we live in South Africa. Carrying cash around is not the safest method, but this is the envelope or cash budget method. The next one is the percentage breakout method. Please do have a notepad in place. I've got my notebook here and I'm going through these notes, so this is very important that you're also writing these things down as we go along. Percentage breakdown method is basically breaking down your expenses into different percentages depending on what they are. The most common percentage breakdown method is 50, 30, 20. 50% of your expenses should be going towards your needs and essentials. This is housing, transportation and food. Nothing more than 50%. 30% is the non-essentials like clothing, travel, hair, shopping, etc. That's the 30% bucket. Then the 20% is going towards savings and debt repayment. It's very important that this is just a standard recommended breakdown method of 50, 30, 20. But if you are going to be using this method, use this as a guideline, but use breakdowns that make sense for you. If your living expenses are not going to be 50%, they're going to rather be 45%, and you'd rather be putting that extra 5% towards paying off debt or saving, then do that. Make it make sense for you. And for this method, it's very important to maintain a budget worksheet so you can keep track of your percentages. And remember, as your life progresses and certain things change, these breakdowns will change, but use the 50, 30, 20 as a benchmark or as something to measure yourself against. Don't exceed 50% or be below 30% towards paying for debt or saving. Then the other one is the reverse budget method. Now this method was new to me when I was doing the research for this video, and what this is that most budget methods work against subtracting your expenses from your income. However, this method doesn't do that. It basically just focuses on one goal. So if that goal is to be putting an X amount towards saving, or if that goal is to be putting X amount towards debt each month, that is the only thing you keep track on, and everything else in addition to that is just paying for your living expenses. As long as you meet that monthly goal, you can do or choose to do anything you wish with your money, as long as your expenses don't exceed your income, because once that that does that, then you are going into debt to service that lifestyle. I don't really like the reverse budget method, simply because I think it's not a method which is very disciplined. It's a method where you can just do anything with your money as long as you save 500 rand a month towards your savings. I prefer a more strict, formal, constructed budget method to keep you in check. But if maybe you are new to budgeting and you think this will be a good way to start, then the reverse budget method would be recommended for you. Then the next one is the zero-based method, and this method is advocated by Dave Ramsey. If you don't know who Dave Ramsey is, head over to Google after watching this video, and he is the guy who started the 8 baby steps to financial growth, financial wealth, financial freedom, and I really love his methods. And he advocates the zero-based method, and this method is basically planning and accounting for every single rand in your budget. What this means is that your income is equal to your expenses. Every single rand in your budget has something to do, has a job, has something accounted to it. Every single rand, every single rand, I mean at the end of your budget it should be at zero. That's why it's called the zero-based method. And this method is effective because you're intentional about every single money, every single rand in your account, every single rand in your budget has something to do, it has a job. And the money, once it's left over, doesn't just disappear, but you know exactly where it's gone to. So whether you are going to be allocating money towards debts, towards saving, but as you do it, your income are exactly equal to your expenses and your budget is at a zero amount. Now this is quite difficult for me because I like to look at my income, look at what my expenses are, and have a look and see what amount I have available at the end of the month to carry me through to the next month, until the next payday, until I receive my next income. So if I am at a zero-based budget, I would freak out. But maybe this is a method that I need to learn and implement, so that every single rand in my budget has something allocated to it, so that I do not do wasteful spending. Because wasteful spending can be that I've done my budget, I've done my income, my expenses and everything, and I've got some money left over. I will spend that money miscellaneously because I don't have anything allocated to it. So maybe the zero-based method is good for someone who's kind of gotten to the hang of budgeting and they want to take their budget to the next level. Now you need to decide how you're going to budget. There's spreadsheets and there's apps. I use both. I use a spreadsheet. I have a free spreadsheet that you can use, a free budget worksheet. You can download it down below. And I also use the app 22/7 that is from Old Mutual. I will leave the link to the app as well, and I use both, and they are just so amazing methods for me. And then the other thing is budget categories. You need to understand where your money is going each month. If you don't have budget categories, you don't know where your money is going each month. You don't know, like as we spoke about the 50-30-20 breakdown, you need to also know where that breakdown is going. If the 50% is for transportation, food and housing, you need to know what of that, where is that going. You can't just say 50% and then have 30% of that going towards food, and then the rest of it, now it's like an unbalanced proportion. You need to know exactly what those categories are and where that money is going. And the first, or the 4 different categories that I would say are for a budget, is the money for your future self, emergency fund, debt repayment, and saving for retirement. That's the first budget category. The second one is for your essentials and needs. The third one is for your life goals. So maybe you want to buy a home, you want to pay off your parents' debts, or anything that is a big, massive life goal that will need you to save over a period of time for that specific goal. And then the other one is everything else, which is the travel, the entertainment, the shopping, and so on and so forth. And knowing each budget category is very important. So the pay yourself first, which is the first one, is before any bills, any shopping, anything, you pay yourself first by either saving towards retirement or saving towards an emergency fund. Basically saving towards your future self, or saving for your future. And this should be in at least 20% proportion of your budget, right? And you know, and if this is also where you're putting in paying yourself first by paying off debt, remember, paying off debt as soon as you can is going to free up some money for you to be able to start building on your wealth. Because if you don't have any debt, you can start using that money that you're paying for debt to start building wealth and start contributing towards saving, and just obviously having a good basically generating wealth. That's what I'm trying to say. Then the second one, which was the essentials and needs. Now this is mortgage, your rent, your transport, your food. This is not getting your nails done or shopping or splurging. This is just your essentials and needs, and this should be no more than 50%. Going back to that 50-30-20 proportion, it should not be more than 50%, because if it's more than 50%, then it means something in your budget needs to cover up or give into or give more of to service that. So just keep in check and make sure that 50% of your budget is for your essentials and needs. Then the third one is your life goals, which is saving for a home, and this is more midterm savings and retirement, so something you're going to be saving for 5 to 10 years. So this is business savings as well, and saving for a home, as I've mentioned. This should be at least 15% of your budget, right? And then the fourth one is everything else, which is 15%. So this is just your splurging money, your shopping, your wish list items, things you want around the house, you're eating out, you're traveling, your entertainment. You still, at the end of the day, need to enjoy your money. And I think there's this misconception that budgeting is there to constrain you, it's there to limit you, you can't enjoy your money, you can't do things that you like, which is not true. Budgeting is there to assist you, to tell your money where it needs to go, actually have control over your money and plan for your money. Then now the last one that I think is very important is, how do you stick to a budget, right? So now we've gone through the budget methods. You've decided you want to do the percentage method. We've now decided that you've decided you want to use a worksheet and an app. You've also kind of decided that your budget categories, you will split them up as I've mentioned, but then now it's like, okay, I need to be able to be consistent and stick to a budget. And the first thing I would say is call it something fun. I know we use the word budget, but you don't need to use the word budget if you think budget makes you freak out. Call it whatever that you think will be more comfortable, will be more fun for you. Call it whatever, make it fun, make it enjoyable, and build a relationship with your budget. I honestly cannot live without my budget. I have to do a budget every single month, or else I feel like I am losing track and losing control of my finances. The second thing is to create a budget a month in advance. This is what I do. So every payday or weeks before I get paid that specific month, I do a budget, so that by the time I'm paid, I know exactly where that money is going to go. I'm not trying to figure out a budget once I've gotten paid, because that's where I'm probably going to fail the most. The third thing is, don't assume every month is going to be the same. There's certain things that happen and change each month. For example, for me, I will in a month that I have to service my car, my budget has to look different from the previous month because I didn't have that expense. You need to adjust your budget accordingly and adjust it as your life shifts and changes. Some months you may require a bit more on petrol because the petrol price has gone up. Some other months it might be fine. Just be flexible with your budget. It's yours, it's there to help you and assist you. Then the next thing is to base your budget on a projected income for the month. So if you're someone who earns a salary like me, and you know how much you earn, and for me as well, I have side hustles, so those fluctuate. I don't really know how much I'm going to earn. I use like a based estimation of how much they are, and then that's what I use as a projection for my budget. You can also do that. If you're a freelancer and someone who earns an inconsistent income, do an average of how much you've earned in the last 3 months and use that as a base, just to kind of what's the most consistent amount of money you earn. Use that to project your budget. Use that income to project your budget. Then the fifth thing is to pay your expenses before splurging. Take care of your bills before you spoil yourself. This will get you into the habit of knowing responsibility, taking care of your responsibility first before you spoil and indulge yourself. Then the last thing is to track your transactions. Make sure, follow up on your transactions, see where your money is going. Have you added something extra that you haven't accounted for in your budget? This will help you see the shift and the change in your expenses every single month, and kind of have a clear understanding or an idea when you're doing the following month. Either you need to include this expense in your budget, or you need to take it out because it's actually an unnecessary expense. Hope you guys are taking down notes. Hope you found this video very helpful. Please do comment down below. Let me know if you do budgets. If you do budget, which budget method do you use? Do you use an app? Do you use the percentage breakdown method? Do you use this cash envelope method, zero-based method, reverse? But which method do you use after I've explained in this video? As always, keep on hustling, guys. I will catch you guys on my next video. Bye.